Steve, thanks very much.
My pleasure.
There we go, Steve Bartlett and Linda Swain, and now we're going to move on to our next piece. Tonight it brings us to the bottom of the ocean, no doubt, where some of our province's richest resources lay. Demand is growing in the offshore oil and gas industry for trained and qualified remotely operated vehicle technicians to do everything from exploration, construction, maintenance to search and rescue operations. Currently, the Marine Institute is the only place in the world that offers formal ROV training, and is all made possible by technology that was also developed right here. Chrissy visited the Marine Institute to learn more about how we are locally meeting our own supply and demand.
25 years ago, there was no such thing as going to school to learn how to operate underwater ROVs, or remotely operated vehicles. It was a skill that you had to learn on the job, like Richard Vandervoort did.
There have been ROVs used operationally worldwide now for several decades. Up until the time this program was started, other than there's a Norwegian apprenticeship program, other than that program, there was really no place that I know of that you could go and do post-secondary education and get a degree or diploma working with underwater robotics.
These days, the Marine Institute is the only college in the world to offer this type of unique training, and it is largely due to the college's partnership with local company GRI Simulations.
Well, we're working with the Marine Institute because it is in the business of training students, and they've recognized the need for qualified students, so the Marine Institute has stepped in and is providing that service with our simulators so that they can have hands-on controls, working with the controls to provide this training that's in demand throughout the world.
ROVs are essentially used for any kind of activity you can think of under the water. If there's any kind of human intervention, whether it's commercial, industrial, military, anything that's required human activity, human eyes, where people have to do things under the water, they're going to employ an ROV.
Like White Rose, Hebron, and so on, they have a lot of equipment subsea which has to be accessed.
All the assets, everything that sits on the seabed, which is used to control the flow of oil and gas from the wells that have been drilled, all of those structures, A, had to be installed by an ROV, B, their initial operation had to be carried out by an ROV, and any maintenance that has to be done over the lifetime of the field, a vehicle will be required to go down and do the maintenance. Our GRI simulator right here now, as you can see, we actually have the scenario which is as important as it was to have the ROVs to bring a conclusion to the 491 incident. This is a scenario where you have a sunken submarine and our vehicle will actually provide CO2 canisters into the sub to save the trapped sailors inside. Because there are very few places like the Marine Institute who produce them, the demand for having people with, essentially you want people with experience, but you can't get experience, the old catch-22, if you don't work. So the training people get here, they can our students have actually gone off to sea and started working first day.
So there's a lot of technology companies centered here in Newfoundland, and we form part of that core.
It's really very interesting piece. You know, I'm like every other young boy or girl. Everyone likes playing with the all-remote control vehicle, and they do really great stuff with it, really important work.
Well, it's actually pretty shocking to realize that the world leader is here in Mount Pearl. So, I mean, it was just all too cool.
It's not hard to believe.
It's wild.
World leader in lots is right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Time for another tune from actors and architects who are going to be in town officially releasing their